Thanks for stopping by. I'd like to preface this video by saying it is not a knitting tutorial, but it means to have something playing in the background while you work on your own knitting project. If you're like me and really enjoy videos while you work, sometimes you find that the content you like to watch is very visually engaging and you're several hours in and haven't gotten nearly as far along in your project as you would have liked to. So that's where I come in. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. Today is actually a really important day because it is the 1-year anniversary of this channel. I have been posting videos for a full year now. Not every day, but a full calendar year has gone by where there have been videos uploaded relatively regularly to this channel. And I thought, how did I want to celebrate? Did I want to do, I know some people do like a 100 episode or a 1 year, and I was weighing the pros and cons of each, and I thought since I have already passed my 100th video milestone, I thought maybe that wouldn't be as significant because I do post relatively regularly, but a 1 year to show not how much content I have, but how long I have been able to stick with this new hobby of mine. And so thank you so much for tuning in to this particular episode. It's very special to me because I thought a long time about how I wanted to celebrate and which milestone I wanted to celebrate. Boy, trying to get extra comfy because as you can see by the title of this video, we are going to watch my very first upload. Now, the day I uploaded was a conjunction of several videos all at once. I wanted to make sure I had enough content to keep my new audience entertained while I worked on more content. And so while I was off of work, I decided to just focus on some of my holiday knitting projects to share with you all. And that pretty much took up the bulk of my very first videos, where it was the knitting for the holidays 2019 year, where I had all of my holiday knitting lined up and showed you guys that process and changed between different projects throughout that time. And once we finished that milestone, I was very happy and wanted to pepper in, of course, more projects, as you have seen here on the channel. And there are a lot of videos, and it's been quite a bit to manage, you know, my uploading and what I post and how I label things. But I thought it'd be nice to look back at what was Paws and Pearls like the very first episode that I filmed, that I uploaded in that first batch of about 5 videos in that same day. So, to be extra special today, not only are we reacting or watching back on that very first episode, but today I'm doing a 2-part upload where this is part 1, the reaction, and then part 2 is the implementation of a brand new project. And if you watch some of my earlier videos, not super early, but in the last week or so, I did a DIY where I made like a yarn bowl for my ball of yarn that I have on the outside pulling. And I also worked on redesigning a pattern of a baby blanket that I had knit earlier on this year or actually it was last year because it's only May still, almost the end of May now, but the baby blanket that I knit, the magic number blanket, I modified that hopefully to become more of a throw size for my pen pal friend. So the next episode, the next video you guys will see for today is me starting on that project after I have modified the pattern. So we'll see how it goes. Of course, as you know, I'm a long-winded person, so a lot of the times when I do film these videos, the camera cuts out, the battery dies, something happened and I had to do a jump cut for some reason. But today, this is just going to be the first video, me reacting. There will be a lot of breaks because the video I'm looking at is about a half-hour long as well, and most of my videos are somewhere between an hour, anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, depending on what the project is and how much detail I wanted to get into it before we finished up the video. So I'm going to stop right now so we have a fresh reel of footage so that we can start looking at the video. Now, I will say I am not that high tech. This camera that I'm shooting with isn't that adept, so what I'm going to do is watch it on my phone and then upload, or not upload, but impose the original video that I still have into this one, so you'll see me filming this and then later on adding that video back and then pausing that video at the right times where I'm watching it on my phone. So a little bit of magic, but it's not too magic because I'm just telling you what my trick is going to be. So let's get into it. If you're not familiar with my very first video, the title is Episode 1, Knit Ahead for the Holidays, Doggy Sweater. Now this particular video is me working on the Dog's Life coat by Wool and the Gang, and if you do decide to watch the first video all through start to finish on your own later on, even though we're watching it together right now, that particular video does have a link in it to that pattern if you choose to work on it yourself. So let's begin. Oh, actually, I should get something to stop it. So no. We're gonna wing it here. Thank you for stopping by. I want to premise this video by saying that it is okay, so already 7 seconds in, I said premise, and I knew in my head I wanted to say preface because there is no premise. It's a preface to say beginning, this is what's going to be happening, so that you know what to expect. Anywho, just nitpicking, you know, everybody's their own worst critic, right? So let's designed not as a tutorial, but as like a knit with me option if you happen to want to knit, and then have something playing in the background that isn't as distracting as a full-on engaging YouTube video, but isn't music either. Is if you're like me, you find that several hours into watching something, you have not knit as much as you would have liked to, and you're just neck deep in YouTube videos, or you want to listen to a playlist and happen to reminisce about songs, or you're just... Okay, so already 41 seconds and I made that intro way too long. It's still a little lengthy, you know, but I do like to give everybody a heads up so that even though they see like either the way I'm tagging the video or in the description or the thumbnail itself and the title of the video seems intriguing, people aren't looking to me as a guide and a guru in whatever the project is, because I am not. If you are a long-term viewer, you know that I have my ups and my downs when it comes to knitting, so I cannot say that I'm going to show you how to do anything very well, besides like the pom-pom tutorial, and even that was like laborious and probably drawn out too long, but it is what it is. It is my content presented to you in a way just to have something in the background, like if you were listening to a blender making smoothies, it's just kind of there as some background noise. But this intro, I could have easily just said what I always say, or some version of it. I don't have an exact script that I go off of. I just kind of remember what I like to say at the beginning of my videos, and it's not like very formulaic in that sense where word for word every single time you guys get the same intro every time. It changes, it has evolved in the last year as I've either added or removed some things to it, but I think the whole point is if you're watching something and it's so distracting that you're just watching it and not knitting, that is where I come in, and I easily left it at that going forward. Let's continue. Flipping through to find something else to listen to, and then you're wasting time finding something to keep you kind of distracted or something going on in the background instead of focusing on your knitting. So thank you for stopping by, and I would like to share with you what I'm working on right now. This is a doggy sweater from Wool and the Gang, and it's the Dog's Life coat, and it's considered easy pattern, and this is the pattern book that came with it. It is designated as I want to say that I'm very pleased that using this phone, I was recording my videos for a good while, and it's actually this Christmas, or no, it was this past Thanksgiving, like, holiday, that my partner bought me a very belated birthday gift, but my camera that I'm using now. And I'm like, yay. But the one thing is that it doesn't autofocus like I would like it to, considering that my phone does. So when I hold something up to it, the camera lens adjusts. This camera does not. But it's meant to be, I mean, it has the video recording feature, but it's meant as a photography camera, I guess, primarily, which is why you have to hold the focus button when you're taking pictures. I tried to do it before to focus, and it just shut the recording off, so it's probably my lack of experience and knowledge about DSLRs and how to use them correctly, what kind of setting I need, but as far as I know, I cannot. I've tried a bunch of different ways, and it's not, you know, I hold something up to it and it just doesn't do anything. So that is that. Let us continue. Easy. It's knit flat with two pieces that are seamed together. And if you're like me, you don't like seaming things or weaving in ends. Those are two things I really don't like about knitting, and they kind of give me a little bit of anxiety, at least with seaming. So I actually am working on a second one. I've already completed one. Let me show you. This is also, so as I mentioned not too long ago, seaming. I'm glad that I mentioned that very first episode. Seaming and weaving are two things I do not like, and you will hear me say that 1,000,001 times and 1,000,001 more times because they are horrible. Don't like it. So that hasn't changed. So the Dog's Life coat, and it's knit with the Wool and the Gang Super Trooper yarn. It came in a kit, and it comes in a bag like so. You get all the yarn you need, and depending on what size you pick from their website, and I'll link that in the description, and it comes with the Super Trooper yarn for the size sweater that you need to knit for the dog, and you also get a darn. I will say, I've noticed even other YouTubers say, I will link blah 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 in the description. Sometimes I've heard them say they'll have something in the description and it's not there, but I've tried to change my wording to say this is in the description. So like if you're watching on mobile, you already know to check the description box to see what items I have provided links to. Instead of saying I will link, it's like you're already watching it, so it should be there. And that's just like me thinking in my head, like, why would I say I will if it's already ready and you should see it? But that's just me. I've been trying to catch myself so that when I'm telling you guys something that's happening at that moment, it's not like past me saying future me will do it. It's already ready and presented to you as such. Needle and the pattern buckled. So for that particular sweater that I have already knit, I used their Super Trooper wool. As I mentioned, it's a 100% merino wool superwash, and it was in the color pink blush, and it's worsted weight. So at the time that I bought the kit online, it didn't have a color that I wanted that was in stock of the yarn, so I ended up buying another grouping of yarn from a different website, and I used loveknitting.com to get the color that I'm working with now. And Love Knitting has changed, and now they're Love Crafts. And I kept saying Love Knitting, Love Crafts afterwards because I've used them before. Actually, most recently I bought the yarn that I needed for the color block baby blanket that I've been working on, the Bold Baby Blanket by Bernat. And I'm using the Paint Box brand that I got from Love Crafts, but they do still have like the little tabbies you can click on depending on what kind of project you're working on. So they have the knitting section, but it's no longer its standalone site. I haven't though tried to type in loveknitting.com to see if it redirects me there or not, but yeah, it's Love Crafts now. So site still exists, it's just rebranded, I guess, as an overarching website. I'll also mention that to further critique or to poke at this video, I'm glad that I did eventually. It wasn't really long after I filmed like those first 5 videos that I moved this room around, so now I'm against the brick wall of this room and not the window that's over here, and so now I get more natural light in and it's not clashing with the lighting of the camera so much. Also, my partner said that I look fat, to put it pretty bluntly, because of the camera angle looking down and up. I honestly thought it was better looking down up because then you could see my knitting easier and I could hold it more comfortably. But the up-down way means that you see more of my surroundings as well, I guess, and I've kind of just gotten used to holding my knitting up high or leaning really far back so that I can hold it a little lower. So there's that to add as well to this critique or reaction. My lighting is a little bit off. This is reading like a deeper blue in the phone here, but it's actually like a teal, like a deep teal. And I will link to the yarn that I used for the one I'm working on now. And it's Plymouth Select Worsted Merino Superwash. So it's 100% Superwash Fine Merino Wool. And it's in the color, let me see. It doesn't list exactly, but it says color 62. So I'll link to the Love Knitting site and that color that I used. So if you really like the color or you want to also use Plymouth yarn for your sweater you knit later, or if you have another doggy sweater in mind that you want to knit that isn't particularly this one, then you're welcome to do that. I will say that knitting the small... I just realized I have a dislike on this video. I'm a little shocked, and most of the videos I have, not to toot my own horn, but I've received a lot of like, not a lot, but of the videos I have, they either have no likes or they have a thumbs up instead of a thumbs down. So I'm actually kind of surprised that I got a negative like. All thumbs equal engagement, so it really honestly doesn't affect me too bad, but I'm curious as like who, I don't know who did it, but I'm very curious like who doesn't like what I said. I mean, in my own personal taste, there aren't any comments either, so it wasn't like, oh, this is a sucky video because it's not a tutorial. Like, they didn't say anything, even though I clearly don't know why they would have said they didn't like it. I feel like it'd help, you know, if you're gonna say you don't like it, why? But that's okay. I'm surprised. I'm not hurt. I'm actually like, huh, somebody actually watched it and decided that they didn't like it and didn't just move on to something else. Because honestly, because of my videos being very niche, I don't get a lot of view time on them. They average like, I think the analytics were saying somewhere like 5 to 8 minutes. Like it's not near, it's a fraction of how long the videos are if you think of how long they are. So yeah, surprised. I don't remember seeing that I got a thumbs down on anything, but now I'm curious. I I should go look at all of them and see if I have any other thumbs downs, but I'm pretty sure the last time I looked at my analytics I didn't have any, so I'll have to look again. Pink one first was a bad idea because I got through it pretty quickly, considering that I am I would say novice beginner knitter. I've been knitting for about a year now, and it was really easy to do. Getting the gauge was tricky, but other than that, I was able to whip through it pretty quick for my skill level, and I wish I had done the bigger one first because it would allow me to feel very, I guess, a good sense of achievement, essentially, getting the other one done, since it's smaller and I could get it done quicker. But now that I'm doing the larger one a second time, I'm kind of like trudging through it. And with my schedule and everything like that, I find that sometimes getting in the mood to knit is a little tricky for me, which is usually why I prefer to watch YouTube videos, because that gives me a chance to be a little bit distracted but engaged at the same time with what I'm working on, just to have a little bit of background noise. And before, I would actually listen to my partner who used to stream on Twitch, and that really was a nice way to kind of have a little background noise that I didn't have to like switch channels or pause or anything like that. It was just continuously going. After dinner, I get home and they're already kind of engaged with their audience streaming, and I just kind of sit on the couch, do my knitting, and carry on with my evening. But then they stopped doing that, and I had to find something else to keep me occupied, and I would say I would watch, if I did have Netflix, watch it. I haven't really been engaged with it lately, but I feel like I would want to be more focused on what I'm seeing visually and hearing than just knitting along to something in the background, and I feel like I might be to miss something, especially if there's body language involved or interesting scenery. So I resorted to YouTube, and as much as I love watching YouTube just for entertainment, I found it very distracting when trying to use the same things I found interesting just for general leisure to apply to knitting. So I'm hoping that with this channel, I am not only just talking to myself, but maybe talking to like-minded people who find that whatever you like to watch generally on YouTube is just a little bit too much engagement in regard of needing to look up at the screen to knit, and then you might lose your place. But if you're a pro, you probably can watch something straight and not need to look at your work, but I'm not at that level. I slip stitches by accident or drop stitches, not drastically, but just enough to like, oh, I need to catch myself and pay closer attention to what I'm working on. And watching a YouTube video sometimes isn't quite efficient in that matter. So, as I mentioned earlier, weaving in ends, or mainly just seaming, is a little bit nerve-wracking for me, and that's one of the reasons why I wish I did not pick up this pattern, though it is beginner, so it gives me an idea of how a sweater is constructed, or at least a little doggy coat. And these are gifts, by the way, so I do want them to come. Yes, I will comment on two things. Bought the doggy sweater and the Jolie Mimi cardigan around the same time when I was like, ruh-roh, this is gonna suck, because now I have to do this whole sweater and do the same with the seaming and the pieces and weaving the ends in. And then secondly, I don't think I asked it in this video, but we'll find out coming up, but I will ask you guys, now that I have your attention, or if you're still here, thank you. If you're not, I understand. Are you the type of person who can watch a video at the same time you're knitting, or do you need to focus on looking down? Because I'm wondering if there is anyone out there who can look up and talk and knit at the same time, and just like feel around at the stitches, or if you're like me and really need to look down at it most of the time and maybe look up here and there, kind of like how I do now, where I'm knitting mostly and then I look up to look at you guys, and then I find out that I'm not recording anymore, and I'm like, oh, I had a whole conversation going where I was just focused on what I was doing, and then I look up and you're gone, and I have to get a new battery, or speaking of, okay, we're still fully charged, awesome, or start the video again because I ran out of time. So let me know. Are you that pro that I mentioned in my first video? Can you watch something straight, or do you need to look at what you're doing and not get too distracted from that? I'm out looking pretty good, but if they're not 100% perfect, I don't think the doggies are gonna care too much about that, and I am sure the owners of the doggies will be very appreciative that they're getting a handmade gift. And it's right now mid-May, give or take, depending on how you count your middle of the month. It's about mid-May, honestly. And I'm knitting these for holiday gifts, so later in December, but because of my schedule and because of how slow I knit, and like I mentioned earlier, just getting kind of motivated to get in the knitting zone, I know I need to start now. And that's why I already did the other sweater, because I got a head start on it, and I just wanted to start as soon as I could after I got all of the materials I needed. And so these sweaters and a couple hats and some socks and some wraps are things that I am working on as holiday gifts. So I'm hoping in the next couple videos I can show you more of the projects that I'm working on for these holiday gifts, and then maybe if I am diligent enough, I will be done with the gifts and able to work on some more personal projects. And honestly, considering I've been knitting since last March, I have only knit 2 items for myself. One I have already, actually I haven't even blocked them, but I was wearing one just out and about last year, and it was a scarf. It was my seed stitch scarf that I started as my first project after practicing knitting. And if you have not, yeah, the seed stitch you know what, I haven't worn that since I had to wear it outside one day, and I showed it to my friend who gave me a lot of yarn. I haven't worn it since then, and I've completely lost track of time, and it has been 2 years that I've been a knitter. If this video was published in 2019 and I said that I was knitting since March of 2018, then March of 2020 would be 18, 19, 20, 2 years. Wow, it's weird to put that into perspective because, ow, my thing's hurting me. The fact that time flies, you know? I think it was around like 7th grade when I realized that time was just moving super quickly. Plus, I was really determined just to graduate and go to college at that point, so I was already just like, come on, one more year, one more year, one more year, one more year. Like, I can do this, and I was just set into overdrive just to get the heck out because I was so ready to be a grown-up and do my own thing, as many kids are. And it just seemed like every year was just swooshing by, and the older I get, the more it seems like that's happening, where the year's going by faster and faster and faster. And it's a little scary because when can you savor anything? But maybe that's just me. I don't know. And I'm not even like a fast-paced person. Like, if I would come back as another animal, I'd probably be a turtle or something, because I'm just a slow person. But time is just whizzing by me, and I'm like, it's already a whole year that I've had this channel, and each week goes by so fast. It's weird. But yeah, that's interesting just to realize that how long it had been since I knit my first solo project, because that was like my project I did as soon as I felt comfortable knitting. I bought a Caron 1 pound that I still have a lot of remnants of and knit my seed stitch scarf and tried to knit a tam for my cousin's daughter and messed it up, so then I had to knit another one, and I still have a lot of extra Caron 1 pound of that. Started to knit yourself, I will link the video that I watched to learn how to knit. And it's actually interesting because the person I watched holds her yarn in her right hand, and I'm left-handed. So you would think I would hold it in my left hand, but because I was watching a tutorial, I didn't really think of it, like where I needed to hold the yarn to feel comfortable. And honestly, holding it with my right hand is pretty comfortable for me. And it's when I've dabbled in crochet briefly, and I will show you where that came into play later on in another video, holding the yarn in my left hand actually felt a little odd. And it's not that I'm ambidextrous, I think it's just because I had knit early on using my right hand to hold the yarn that I just kind of felt comfortable like that. I got used to it enough because it was the first experience I had like that I didn't feel weird about it, if that makes sense. So I'm just knitting this here flat. I don't know if I already mentioned that, but it's knit flat, and they're 2 pieces. So this is the back piece, and then the second part is the chest piece, and then you seam them together, and that part, whew, Alright, this is labor. Not that, I mean, I'm like, okay, if I keep pausing this, and this is a whole half-hour video, we're gonna be here for a long time, and we're only 10 minutes and 44 seconds in. So I think I'll cut it there and just say, wow, a lot has grown. I have grown a lot since then. I feel like I'm a little more comfortable talking to you guys. I have my intro and my outro not solidified, but definitely more fleshed out than when I started. Lighting is better, camera is better, makeup skills are better, you know, whatever. So yeah, I think there's been a lot of growth here, and I'm so happy that I've made it a whole year where I've been sticking with this hobby. This is probably well, besides knitting itself for 2 years, keeping up with this channel for a whole year is a feat that I didn't know what the outcome would be. I mean, I enjoy it enough, like why wouldn't it be easy just to keep going? But you never know, life changes, things change, habits change sometimes, and you just kind of go with the flow, at least I do, and this is something that's been pretty consistent in my life, so I'm happy about that. And I appreciate you, and appreciate you watching me and helping me celebrate my 1 year video content anniversary. So with that, we'll move on to part 2. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!